There is nobody that's ever been alive that's woken up and felt the same level of motivation every single day for infinity days in a row.
Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Rock Your Brand podcast. I'm your host, Scott Boker, a serial entrepreneur on a mission to help you. This show is designed to teach you, to inspire you, to motivate you to take massive action and build a future-proof business. So, whether you're just starting out or taking your existing business to the next level, this is your home. Now, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's rock your brand. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Brand podcast. This is episode 951, and today I am feeling fired up a little bit more than usual, and I'll explain. My guest is known for the guy that runs a very popular podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire, and he is on fire. And that's why I'm a little bit more on fire today. The interview that I did with him was really awesome because, well, he just released his book, or at least he's in pre-launch, depending on when you're listening to this. And the name of the book is The Common Path to Uncommon Success and Freedom. And he has taken everything that he has learned and distilled down from talking to over 3,000 entrepreneurs, all different walks of life, all different stories, and has really boiled it down to these different steps and these different mindsets and activities that these successful businesses and entrepreneurs have really been following for years. So that is what you're going to be hearing today. And I always have a great time hanging out with John Lee Dumas, and I missed hanging out with him this year in person. Usually I hang out with him in Puerto Rico because I'm part of Puerto Rico Masterminds, and he's part of that as well. And it's always a blast. And I'm really bummed out that we didn't get to hang out this year, but we got to hang out here virtually, and you got to hang out with us. After you listen to this interview, you'll be able to hang out with us. All right. So guys, I'm going to stop talking now so you can listen to this awesome interview that I did with my good friend, Mr. John Lee Dumas, or also known as JLD. Enjoy. John Lee Dumas, the man that is on fire right now, literally. What is up, man? How you doing?
Scott, it's exciting to be here, brother. All is good down in Puerto Rico, living the life.
Yeah, we actually didn't get to hang out this year because of the whole pandemic, and I was really looking forward to that with the Puerto Rico Masterminds, but maybe next year. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you know. Super excited to be able to hang out there again. Puerto Rico is amazing.
Absolutely. Special place.
Yeah. So today what I wanted to do, though, you got something big that you've been working on that we want to bring a little bit of attention to, actually a lot of attention to. And I've been down this road. You're going down a little bit deeper of that road, not self-published, traditionally published, which is a whole nother ballgame. I want to speak to that. But dude, man, kind of catch me up. What's been going on that led you to doing this book, which is a huge undertaking?
Huge undertaking. You know, it's kind of one of those things where they say ignorance is bliss. You know, if you knew exactly what it was going to take to bring a book to life, you may never have done it. But of course, once you're over that horizon, you're glad that you did. And that's me, my man. You know, I did not have a book to write in 2012 when I launched this little podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire. But after 3,000 interviews, after 100 million listens of the show, 1.4 million every single month now, and over 20 million of revenue generated, I'm like, you know what? Not only have I built a thriving, successful entrepreneurial business, but I've talked to and interviewed over 3,000 successful entrepreneurs, Scott obviously included in that. And I knew that there were so many commonalities between your success, my success, and the other 2,999 plus guests that I've interviewed success. And I wanted to just take a second step back and like write some thoughts down on a piece of paper. And this was kind of back in 2019. And, I wrote down what I consider really the principal foundational elements of what successful entrepreneurs all possess. And after I kind of cut the fat out and kind of combined the ones that were similar, I was left looking at 17 foundational principles. 17. I tried to get down to 16 just for an even number. Couldn't do it. Tried to add another one, but there just wasn't another one. It was literally 17 foundational principles. And I said, you know what? There's a book here. There is a book here, because what I'm looking at right now is a roadmap, a literal foundational roadmap, chronological. Like, you can literally start with this roadmap. It is a step 1 to step 17 roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. I said, I'm going to write this book. It's going to be 17 chapters because there's 17 foundational principles in chronological order. I'm going to go big. I want to have HarperCollins be my publisher. I didn't know specifically it was going to be Harper at the time, but I knew I wanted a big 5 publisher to kind of just go that route, to experience that. I've done the self-publishing, before, and it's been fantastic with my journals, but I just felt like I wanted to try a different thing, because I'm always about getting out of the comfort zone and trying something new. And man, this was a labor of love. 71,000 words. I wrote every single word in this book, brother. Every single word I wrote. It took me 480 writing hours. That's 8 months of 2 hours of writing every single day. Luckily, I was in quarantine, so I had the time to do it. And the book's ready. Personally endorsed by Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, Neil Patel, Erica Mandy, Dory Clark. 17 unbelievable all-star entrepreneurs are featured in this book. They contributed to each step. The one that I knew was the best for that specific step, boom, reached out to them. They have an amazing contribution to that section, that step. And this book it's ready, man. It is ready to change lives.
So I'm curious, because writing, not easy. Now, for me, it's not easy at all. I'm not really good at writing. I don't like to write. I'd rather do this and then transcribe and edit and kind of go that route. How did you get yourself to be in that zone? I could see you doing it for a little bit, but then to commit to that, and I know you're all about commitment, consistency, and all that, but there had to be days you're just like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not really sure I'm into it. Like, how do you push yourself? I think this is a lesson for anyone building a brand, whatever. Like, how do you stay consistent even on the days you don't feel like being consistent?
There's nobody that's ever been alive that's woken up and felt the same level of motivation every single day for infinity days in a row. We have ups, we have downs, we have days where we're fired up, days when we just don't want to do anything. And I actually, I obviously learned that from my time doing Entrepreneurs on Fire. I knew if I had to wake up every day and do one episode, one interview, that there would be days I did not feel like doing it and I wouldn't do it. But when I said, there's going to be one day per week where I'm going to do all my interviews and I am not going to accept anything except doing that, knowing that I have 6 days of the week, the other 6 days, to do basically nothing interview wise, just working on other parts of the business or relaxing or recharging or all of the above. That was the only way I was going to make a show like Entrepreneurs on Fire happen, a daily podcast. And I did it, 3,000 episodes. And I took the same approach with writing. I said, I'm not gonna be able to write for 6, 8, 10 hours a day. Can't do it. Don't love writing. I like it. I've gotten decent at it over the years because of all the emails and copy I've written for different things. I mean, sure. It's not something I haven't done. Like, I've definitely taken writing on as part of what I do for the past 10 years with Entrepreneurs on Fire. But, like you said, this is kind of more my thing right here, what you and I are doing. I'm in my zone of fire right now, talking the talk, walking the walk. I'm not in my zone of fire, pecking at my keyboard, but I knew that I wanted to write this book and that I could commit and I would commit my first 2 hours of the day. If I woke up, got my workout in, sat down on my computer, and before anything else, before any mental bandwidth was zapped from my head, if I just wrote for 2 hours, I knew I could do that consistently. And I did that every single day for 2 months. That's 480 writing hours. Now, I did not write for 2 hours and 2 minutes. I wrote for 2 hours max. And by the way, that was actually 2 focus sessions within those 2 hours. So 42 minutes of writing, 18-minute break. 42 minutes of writing, 18-minute break. Then I went on to my day. That's how I wrote 71,000 words in 8 months. And this book is 273 pages. It is a beefy, meaty business book. Do not start this book unless you want financial freedom and fulfillment and are willing to work hard to get there, period.
Yeah, I love it. So I do have some questions on that. And I think this goes in line with any project that you're working on. And in business, we have projects all the time, right? We have all these different projects. We want to create a new funnel. We want to create a new product and we want to promote it and create the automation and all of this stuff. We have systems and processes, but we have to commit to that. So you're sitting down, and I'm thinking of myself, even with the book that I wrote, it's kind of like you're sitting down. How did you get the inspiration for what you were going to write when you sat down? Did you already have that planned? Did you say, I'm going to map out the chapters first, then I'm going to dig in and do them in sequential order? Or did you bounce around and say, I think I'm going to dig into this area because this is really important and I feel like I can flesh this out pretty quickly? How did you structure that?
My military training, I was an officer in the Army for 8 years, taught me to backwards plan. And backwards planning is how I've done most things in my life successfully. And I did exactly that with this book. I sat down, had that little mental conversation that I shared earlier about how I literally distilled and downloaded the foundational principles from every single interview that I had, from the 3,000 plus conversations, to get those 17 foundational principles that we all share. All of us being successful entrepreneurs, we all have this in common. We've taken every one of these steps. Some we've done well, some we've done poorly, but we've taken all of these steps. And I said, I'm taking these foundational principles, I'm taking this, and I'm going to turn them into a chronological 17-step process. And so now I just had essentially the chapter titles for all 17 of these chapters. And so every morning, instead of just being like, okay, where's this book going? The roadmap was laid out. Now it was just, okay, chapter 1, identify your big idea. And then that chapter was all about just that, identifying your big idea. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote until that chapter was done. And then I moved on to step 2, chapter 2. And then I did that for the entire 17. I went in chronological order because it was literally me reliving my journey, which was cool, but also reliving the journey of the 3,000 entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, because this isn't a book about my story. This isn't a book about your story, all the 3,000 people that I've interviewed. This is the roadmap that I created from all of these interviews, my personal experience. And again, the contributions that I got from 17 entrepreneurs at each step as well, where they contributed their zone of genius in each one of those. And that's how the book was created.
I love it. And I think some people have talked about writing a book and they're like, okay, we're just going to create the chapters and then we'll fill them in, but then we might move stuff around. And was there any of that for you? Or did you pretty much have did you move anything in and out of order? Was there any of that? Or did you, like, right from the beginning, you're like, those are the 17, those are what I'm sticking to? Was there some that you left and came back and added more later? I'm just curious myself, just on a personal note, just to kind of see how that all kind of fleshed out for you.
So those 17 were there. I had them all down on a piece of paper. And at that point, that's when I played the jigsaw puzzle game of, okay, I got to put these chronologically. How do you take a step forward? Like, which foot goes in front of the other? You know, putting the horse always in front of the cart. So that was the process of taking these 17 principles, these 17 foundational elements, and putting them in a chronological order of, like, obviously you can't, launch until you number one, have what your big idea is. So, like, I knew that there was a very specific order. So I took a lot of time at the beginning to make sure this was the order, cross-referenced it with Kate, with other people in my industry. And they're like, that's it. I got challenged on a few things and I explained myself as to why. And I was open to changing things up and shifting them around if needed. But at the end of the day, that was the roadmap and nothing changed once I started. Again, mixed and matched around at the beginning to get that perfect sauce, those perfect ingredients, that perfect step process, the roadmap in place. Then it was just execute. And that's one thing that I'm great at, by the way, is I can come up with a plan and then I can execute on that plan. And I don't second guess myself and I don't overthink things. I just execute. Like, that is one of my superpowers.
Yeah. No, I mean, to do 3,000 plus interviews and stuff, I mean, I think we can kind of see that. So that's pretty good. I'm approaching 1,000. So I'm on. Yeah, I'm on.
You're a baller, brother. You always have been. And one thing I'll say about Scott to anybody that's watching or listening to this is, listen, I can sit in this microphone all day, and I do typically. And I said a lot of things. And I've interviewed a lot of people who have said a lot of things. Obviously, most of the value from my show comes from my guests. I mean, I'm just the interviewer. I like to conduct and facilitate the conversations. But of course, I've been interviewed on a lot of shows. I've talked the talk as well. I've created a lot of products and services. And I can talk till I'm blue in the face. And I can tell people how to do something that's a proven model, and they just don't get it. It just goes in one ear, out the other. And I see them make the same mistakes over and over again, which are, by the way, mistakes that I've made, but I'm trying to tell them to avoid those mistakes because I've learned from them and I've improved the processes. And now I have a proven model. And my friend Scott is one of those rare people that can just listen to my advice and implement it word for word. And let's be honest, sometimes it's exactly word for word. And that is something that I've done. I've stood on the shoulders of giants. I've learned from those who have come before me. I, hired Cliff Ravenscraft. I followed his podcasting model. I didn't question it. I hired Lewis Howes. I followed his webinar model. I didn't question it. And Scott has learned a ton from me, and he has just implemented it. And look at the success he's having as a result. He didn't question it. He just flipping did the work. So my hat's off to you in that area, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it's one of those things, right? You learn, I think Tony Robbins says it all the time, model other successful people. Like, we're just modeling, like, why pave the new road when the road's already been paved, And that's,
well, listen, man, this common sense isn't common practice.
That's very true. Very, very true. All right. So let's talk about this roadmap, because I do want to give people some tactical, actionable. I want them to get the book. I mean, obviously the book is not where you're going to make, all your money. We all know that you don't make the money in the book. You want people to be brought in, most likely, right now I'm assuming this, but I'm pretty sure you just want to get introduced to new people or have people share it and bring people into the world of John Lee Dumas and Entrepreneurs on Fire. That's really what a book does. And I want people to go get the book, and we'll give them the way that they can get it and all that stuff. But I want to just kind of distill it down a little bit. I know we don't have a ton of time, but give us the 10,000 foot view of what this looks like. And then I do have a question for you that you can kind of take us through almost this process where you can kind of give me an example, and I'll give you something I got queued up here for you. I'm going to set it up on the tee and you're going to hit it. But just the 17, you don't have to go through all 17 steps, obviously, but just distill it down, quick, actionable, what's this look like?
Listen, the 10,000 foot view is the fact that I have seen what it takes to become uncommonly successful. Not just successful, but uncommonly successful. And by the way, that person that I know, who's a good friend of mine, who's making $87,000 a year, living in Bozeman, Montana, living on the lake, doing exactly what they want every single day, living well below their means, financially so set, that's uncommon success. That is uncommon success. So there are many, many versions of uncommon success. And this book will get you to your version of uncommon success. Because this is, just to be honest, you've been lied to. You have absolutely been lied to at some point in your life, in your journey, by people who want you to think that the road to success is hidden, it's secret, it's complicated. Listen, it's none of those things. It is a lot of hard work, but it's a very common path. It is a common path that Scott's been on, that I've been on, that tens of hundreds of thousands of successful entrepreneurs have been on. And this book is that roadmap. And it's a 17-step roadmap that will get you to your financial freedom and fulfillment. So stop questioning everything. Stop trying to be perfect before you launch. Because as I share with you in the book, and I'm super blunt in the book, by the way, Scott, I'm like, oh yeah, you're a perfectionist. We all like to claim that we're a perfectionist. You're actually cowering in fear behind a wall because you're a coward and you don't want to launch. And we've all been there. We've all been cowards. All of us have been cowards. Myself, Scott, all of us, because we're scared to put something out there in the world because of what's going to come back at us. So it's okay that you're a coward. But now it's, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to take the next step? You're a human being. You're going to have doubts. You're going to have fears, all of those things. So why don't you just follow this proven roadmap? Why don't you just follow the common path that I have laid out for you? And this might be kind of controversial, Scott, but this is something I'm very passionate about. Not every single person in this world is meant to be an entrepreneur. And oh, by the way, that's not a bad thing. Number 37 at Facebook is a lot richer than Scott and I will ever be. Combined. They're killing it. Maybe you are supposed to be a number 2 or a 10 or doing something else with your life. And that is fine. And you might find so much more happiness there if this is not your path. And the beautiful thing about this book is it will show you very quickly if you are meant to be an entrepreneur or not. Because if you read this book and apply its principles, and in 3 to 6 months, if you are not finding your version of uncommon success, if you are not along that path, then you know. And guess what? Now take all that time back and shift and go do something that you're meant to do. But for most people that are watching this, because most people that watch shows like this, they are entrepreneurs, period, end of story. And so I'm talking to the vast majority of people here. You likely are an entrepreneur. You're just missing multiple key ingredients, like I was, like Scott was. This book has all of the gaps. It fills in all of the gaps for you. It has every single step you need, step one to step done. I don't leave anything out. It's all in one book with 273 pages.
Sweet. Okay. So now I am going to turn this over because I want to put this into something that you can give us some feedback on and maybe just some thoughts. And I'm going to kind of flip what you used to do on the show. And you're like, all right, John, pretend that you know no one, you have $500 and a laptop. How would you start over today? So I know that's not verbatim of what you said, but it's you get the idea, right?
And I mean this with all sincerity. I would take 26 of those dollars and I would buy the hardcover version of this book because I want to feel it. I want it to be on my bedside. I want to be able to write notes in it. I want to be able to dog ear stuff. I would want this book, the hardcover version of The Common Path to Uncommon Success. And I would start at step 1, chapter 1. And I would just commit in my heart to following the advice of the author of this book. And listen, step 1 is identifying your big idea. And I actually love the idea of living in that world you talk about, Scott, because man, I'm telling you, man, if more people could start with a clean slate, this world would be a better place because we have made so many bad decisions in our past. We all have, because that's what we do as humans. We make good decisions and we make bad decisions. It's just a fact of life. And so many of people's bad decisions are currently dictating their current life. And it doesn't have to be that way. I've made so many bad decisions in my past. None of them dictate my current life because I let them go. A bad decision to go to law school. That was a really bad decision, but I walked away. I dropped out. I quit. A lot of people made a bad decision just like that. And they committed themselves to 50 years of being a lawyer and miserable. And that is so sad. So a clean slate is something that's so amazing. Just let everything go. Drop the sunk cost fallacy of just because you made a decision 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 days ago, that you need to have it dictate your future or your present. No, today's a new day. Clean slate. Start with chapter 1. Let's identify your big idea because people that are living their best life, Scott, myself, thousands of other entrepreneurs, we are living every day in our zone of fire. Right now, in this moment, I'm living in my zone of fire. This is what I do. I love interviewing people. I love being interviewed by people. I love having amazing conversations with amazing people. This is my zone of fire. It's probably not yours. And I'm speaking to the audience here. It might be for some people. It might not be.
Sure.
But your zone of fire is out there. Let me help you get to that so you can get up every morning and identify your zone of fire. And just to kind of quickly move over to step 2, because I think this is where a lot of people really screw up, and just to kind of show you how this 17-step roadmap works is, hey, you've got your zone of fire, you got your big idea. Awesome. This is where most people fail because your big idea is a great idea. I have no doubt it is a great idea. Spoiler alert. Somebody's already thought of that idea. Not a bad thing. I'm just alerting you that other people have had that big idea because it's a flipping great idea. So what do? Do you go against entrenched competition and get squashed immediately? No. Step 2, you discover your niche. You literally reveal the opportunity that exists within your big idea that is not currently being served. You exploit and you fill a void that is existing within your big idea that is not being filled or exploited right now. Perfect example, back in 2012 when I was like, I want to start a podcast. Okay. Broad, vague, big idea. It was my big idea. It was awesome. Would have gotten destroyed if I just did that. Okay, what about a business podcast? One niche down. Okay, it's a better idea. I still get destroyed by the handful of business podcasts that are out there. What about an interview business podcast? Well, there's a bunch out there. They're all better than me. So I'll probably, be the 7th or 10th best. Well, that sucks. If you're the 7th or 10th best, you might as well be the 100th best. Like, why not be the best? How can I be the best? How can I niche down until I am number one? Well, every business podcast is doing a weekly interview. What if I did twice a week? Well, that's good. What if I did 3 times? Getting better. What if I just blew them out of the water and 10x'd their quantity? And instead of doing 50 a year, I did 365 and just destroyed them. Not on the quality side of things, on the quantity, because that's all I had. And so the day I launched Entrepreneurs on Fire, it was the best daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the worst daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the only daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. How can you be the only? How can you discover your niche so that, like me, day one, you can get traction and actually get a little bit of momentum and some fans and some proof of concept, and then blow your stuff up? I mean, I don't just do a daily podcast anymore. I have journals and courses and affiliates and this. I have a business that generated over $20 million. I have a business that for 90 months in a row now has netted over $100,000. So that is just step 1 and 2. And guys, every chapter is broken up into 3 sections. Section 1, what is that? How do you do it? Section 2, how I did it for a real world example. And then in section 3, I bring in the all-star entrepreneur to give their perspective, their advice, their training on that. So it's so meaty. It's so full. It's every single step. You will leave 100% ready for step number 2, 3, 4, the next step.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Really, really good. And I think really what you've leaned on here too, and really brought attention to, is like the fear element that we all fall into. And I know that you tell a story a lot about how when you were starting the podcast, you almost didn't start the podcast. Same thing with me. And then you did, and you faced it, and here you are.
I'm a human being. Yeah, that's why I was fearful. That's why everybody listening to our voices is having some nervousness and some doubt and some fears, thinking about what it is they're going to do. Get over it.
Yep. All right. I know we got to wrap up. So what I want to do here is have you let everyone know how they can get their hands on a copy, when it will be officially released, and also, is there going to be an audiobook?
Duh. Just finished. Amazing. So the book is live everywhere, March 23rd. Do not wait for the book to be live. You need to pre-order this book because I have 5 insane bonuses that go with every single pre-order. You pre-order one book, $16 on Kindle, $26 hardcover. I am shipping to your door all 3 of my journals, all 3 of these journals, the Freedom Journal, the Mastery Journal, and the Podcast Journal. I am shipping to your door, all 3 of these at my own expense. $150 worth of journals shipped to your door. Those are for people in the US. Outside, you get immediate access to the digital pack, which is beautiful, outstanding digital pack. There's 4 other insane bonuses as well. I won't spoil them for you now, but they're fantastic. All you need to do is visit uncommonsuccessbook.com. You'll see a video of the book there. My endorsements from Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, Neil Patel, Dory Clark, Erica Mandy. You'll see all 5 bonuses. I give you chapter 1 of the book for free there, so you can kind of understand my writing style and how it will shake you out of whatever funk you might be in and get you to financial freedom and fulfillment, because that's what the book's all about. The common path to uncommon success. 17 steps to your financial freedom and fulfillment. uncommonsuccessbook.com. Pre-order at least 1 for those bonuses, but if you're really doing something right, get 1 for your best friend too, because they want success as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. John, this was awesome. Of course, it was on fire. Of course. I mean, come on now. I appreciate you, brother. And I do wish you all the success. And I will share this with as many people as I can. I know what you're doing is really awesome. And I know it's going to change a lot of people's lives. So I appreciate you, brother. And I hope we can hang out in Puerto Rico soon, man. Thanks again for coming on.
Back at you, bro. Peace.
All right. Well, there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. I always love hanging out with JLD. He's got a lot of fire, as he's known for, right? He is running Fire Nation over there on Entrepreneurs on Fire. So it makes sense, right? He should be on fire, literally. But I'm going to link everything up in the show notes. So you can head on over to brandcreators.com/951. I will link up all the resources there, all of the links that we mentioned, and a way that you can get a copy of his book, which I definitely think that you should do. All right, guys. So that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, remember, I'm here for you. I believe in you, and I am rooting for you. But you have to. Come on, say it with me. Say it loud. Say it proud. Take action. Have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now let's rock your brand.